All right, so we're going to talk about the collective transits for 2026 because a lot seems to be happening. So before we get started, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience? Tell us who you are. I know you've been studying astrology and prophecy for a while, so give us a little
Sure,
background
yeah,
of
we
who you are and
I
who's going
grew
to
up
be
in a
telling us what's
Christian
happening
home,
in
like good
2026.
parents. They meant well. However, in religion and in dogmatic viewpoints, like people are made to be a certain thing from the outside in. And so that's kind of how my life started out. Do this, do that. Jesus, others than you, and I became an adult and I'm like, where's the Father at? Where's Hashem? Where's God? Yeah, we have people and others than me. These are all human beings. And so this had me looking up because I was taught the Father's in heaven. And so looking at the skies and everything, it just fascinated me. And then later, it took me almost 40 years, but by the time I got to this point, started looking at the planets and then looking at patterns and what happens in cultural environments, and it's like clockwork. And we know how far a planet goes, and we can track it back and see events that happened in the past, and these cyclical patterns are continual. Once I saw that, I kind of set religion aside and went with connection to the divine and with spirituality instead of outside in. Authority right now is
Yeah.
the truth, but in 20 years, when Pluto gets done in Aquarius, my friend, truth will be the authority. It'll be very policy driven. Women will be respected. Things are going to change. And so I grew up in a way in religion where the women were told to be silent in church, do this, do that. Sorry, I'm gonna turn this off. And it's all this robotic stuff, and that doesn't work whenever women aren't
Yeah, we
respected,
got you.
children aren't respected. And so I see now what's going
Yeah.
on. I see it. So
Yeah,
went to
for sure. All right. Well, listen, I appreciate you coming on, and I think that a lot of people combine astrology and religion, and I know from a Torah point of view they say we're not bound by the stars. I've talked about this a little bit, but you are correct in seeing patterns and I guess documentation, because astrology is very well documented by the patterns of what we see in the stars, and I
all
think
right.
that's going to lead us into what we're going to talk about for 2026, because we're seeing some stuff that, and correct me if I'm wrong,
Hmm.
that we haven't seen in, I mean, some of these transits over 6,000 years. So what I'll do is I'll just ask you, we have our list here of the transits. I might stop you, because our audience, depending on how versed they are in astrology or not, I want us to be able to explain it to somebody who's really doesn't know anything about astrology. So with that, we're going to start with the transit of June of 2026 for Jupiter to Leo. This is an outer planet. Now, before you tell me what that's going to look like for the collective, can you explain to us what the
Well, Jupiter
planet
is
Jupiter does? What's the
there's a
energy of the
metal that's
planet
connected to
Jupiter?
every planet, and 10, Tin, not TEN, 10 for Jupiter. And 10 looks like really cool, but you can like bend it up and throw it away. So Jupiter is going to expand, okay, the environment it's in. It doesn't get controlled by the other planets. It is the king planet, but whatever energy that humanity's going into, it's big time. Like right now, Jupiter's been in Cancer for a hot minute. And like you said, it'll be going in at the end of June next year. Are you getting an echo? Okay, you're good.
I'm not
And
getting an
so,
echo. I don't know
oh,
if
I'm
you
sorry.
are, but we're pretty good over here. Also, yeah. So wait a minute. So with Jupiter being a planet of expansion, it's a planet, from what my understanding is, it Jupiter also represents, like, let's say, abundance, luck,
Of
opportunity,
course, yeah.
justice, and
When we're dealing with
ethics.
the
Are those things
outers,
that
I
you're
look
kind
at
of agreeing
Jupiter
with?
as expanding, whether it's working with or against other planets. Jupiter does have a connection to children in many ways. The reason why is because whenever we're born and wherever Jupiter is, in about a year, it'll be in the next sign. And so every year that you're in school, Jupiter is growing along with you and your buddies in school. So it is about kids. to an extent. It's
Nice.
about learning the higher, higher knowledge, higher wisdom. Right, yeah. Like 3, 6, and 9.
Like
If we deal with multiplying,
divine
3
law,
times 3
sort
is
of.
9, 6 times 3 is 18, 9 times
Right?
9 is
Kids.
81. All those numbers add up to 9. That's logic. But to go the way Tesla did, it's a more Sag energy. He's expanding on just basic logic. So that's Gemini and Sag. And so Jupiter rules the ninth house. It has to do with the higher learning.
Hmm. Okay, so basically, wherever Jupiter is going to hit in a transit, and transit means, I'll explain to the audience, everybody is born with certain planets in what's called a natal position. So when you're born and you get that birth chart, you have your snapshot of the sky. But we're looking at the collective here. So collectively, Jupiter transiting into Leo, okay, Jupiter, the planet of expansion, children, higher learning, the king planet, it's going into Leo. So what does that mean for us in the collective? And you could, if you want to explain maybe what Leo is and like what are some things that we could expect to see
Yeah,
with this if
Jupiter in
you had to
Cancer, real
use your
quick, was about
astrologer sense to tell us?
nurturing in the home and then like refining the home. Um, it's about nurturing in the growth in growth. Okay, it's expanding on nurturing. So we should not be self-hating the last 6 months and the next 6 months. We should be nurturing ourselves and our family. In Leo, the emotion and the home stuff is out the window. This is about self-expression. This is about big energy. It's about pushing that like encroachment, like off in your face from other people. Perfect examples. Go look at your Leo celebrities. Like Donald Trump is 29 degrees Leo rising, and it's kind of like in your face. It does. It's self-expression.
So what is so what does that mean for so okay, so like let I know we're talking about the collective here, but just to zoom out and zoom in for a minute. So
This is
somebody
about
who
them
is a
being
Leo
authentic
rising, what is
and
this
being who
transit
they
going to do for
are.
them?
Right now, if yeah, it's confidence, self-expression, fun. It does have to do with children.
Confidence.
A lot of Leos right now with Jupiter and Leo, they're going to find their person if they're waiting, or they're going to have another kid on the way in the next 18 months. That's just kind of the energy it puts in. Leo going over your rise, or Jupiter going over your rising in Leo, like you meet a person that's your potential partner, your mate. Um, Venus has to do some of that, but wherever Jupiter's transiting, it's about being authentic in that area of life. Because if you're not, and you don't act and be authentic now and put that out there, the universe will act for you. And it's not going to be so fun. So Leo energy, it's about doing what you love. That's literally what it is.
So would you say that like I guess a lot of people in general because it's horoscopes are hard and I think why a lot of people don't believe in them is cuz they're so general like when you say oh all the Sagittarius is this is your day like how could it be that everybody's having that but collectively for Jupiter and Leo if this is going over somebody that is a Leo it's pushing them to authenticity. What does this look like though for somebody who's not a Leo like a rising Leo like what society, let's talk about American society, right? How do you think this transit is going to
If a
possibly
person
influence us as a
in the
culture
collective
in American
with Jupiter
society?
and Leo is literally not being expressing who they are, the next 10 years will push them into a corner, and they are not going to be able to do that later the way they can now. So this is like a lucky strike for people that have not been authentic or have been in hiding. They can come out, and Jupiter's going to give them a little push, and it's going to tend to reward them for their work of being authentic and being honest with the people around them. On the collective, it's the same thing. It's everybody's grabbing an identity right now. The ones that don't have one, and Jupiter and Leo is going to help with that because Saturn and Neptune's going into Aries. They'll be trying, so it's going to work in a good way.
Okay. So what's all right, but what are some bad is there anything bad that this transit could possibly bring because I know like I know
The
there's always
negative
a shadow side of things. So what's the negative of a transit like this? Possible negative. I don't
on
like
a
to live in doom and gloom,
interpersonal
but like
basis, that's
negatively, what are some things we
people
can see
running
for
over
this?
you. Really, other people that are embracing the energy,
Mm.
they're gonna win in the end, whether it's easy or whether it's tough. Um, but this is kind of like get on the horse and let's go or get left behind energy. With the people, the detriment of that, like Jupiter in Aries was Fukushima. Saturn opposed Jupiter in Libra. That's just Jupiter and Saturn
Hmm.
opposition. 20,000 people. Like, because Aries is war, the god of war, they called it, right? And so when Jupiter entered Aries, I mean, it's time to go. Let's get it, you know. It's either expanded energy on war, but in Leo, it's about people running over you and also the patriarchy running over the collective.
So do you think that this is gonna like stir up, I would say, like a lot of
Uh,
aggression of the patriarchy, or
reason why is because middle of next year, Saturn and Neptune are going to be in Aries. Jupiter, Jupiter's going to be, yeah, Jupiter's going to trine
yeah, I
that.
think
So I'm not trying to jump
we're
ahead,
gonna get
but
to
we're
that
making a
next.
triangle here. Anytime you have a triangle, things are kind of work together easy, not good or bad. They just work together. But when Jupiter enters a trine 120 degrees from another fire sign, and you got Saturn and Neptune there, it's expansive. Like whatever energy's in Aries, Jupiter is going to just blow it the hell up.
Oh shoot. Okay, so let's talk about it then, because the Saturn Neptune transit into Aries has not taken place. What this means is that for the first time in over 6,000 years, both the planet Saturn and the planet Neptune are going to be entering the sign of Aries. So before we get into this, can you explain to me what the sign of
It is about
Aries
identity,
means? What does the sign
like
of
self
Aries
identity,
represent?
authenticity. It's about being honest, really. A lot of Aries are like I'm an Aries rising, 29 degrees with South Node Aries. So when I was younger, I had a lot of like ego, and I would project that onto other people, you know, whether that was through
Okay.
fighting, you know, whatever, women, shooting pool, gambling, like whatever, like just whatever life I was living, it was very forthcoming and people just got out of the way. So when it comes to Aries, it's about having an identity and not letting people um, pour water on that. Aries is the yod in the Hebrew language. It's kind of like the beginning of the year, the first fire, and so it's where we're kind of want to be kids on the inside.
Well, Aries is
Hmm.
a fire sign. Okay, the symbol of it is the ram, and the ruler of it is Mars, which is the planet of war. So a lot of Aries is action before thinking, and I think so. Basically, this is a very bold sign for
Hmm.
Saturn and Neptune, which are kind of conflicting planets in a way. We'll get into that, but Aries is decisive. It's honest. It's direct. Like you said, it's
Hmm.
truth, and willing to take, I think, risks, right? Like it's a risk sign that maybe others weren't, where maybe others might question themselves or overthink. I think Aries is just like straight to the point, like you mentioned, like super bold. So the fact that we have Saturn and Neptune now coming into the sign, and I know you mentioned it being trine with Jupiter, but let's talk about what Saturn, the planet, does. Like what does that mean? Somebody who doesn't know anything about astrology now is hearing that Saturn and Neptune are coming into Aries. It hasn't been in there for over 6,000 years ago. What happened 6,000 years? Do we even
Well,
know what happened six
they
thousand years ago when these
were
planets went into Aries? Is there any
actually
documentation?
conjunct near 0 degrees Aries in the 1860s, I think. Um, I'm pretty sure. I'd have to go check. Near 0 degrees Aries, just near the 0 degrees Aries, James A. Garfield was knocked off. Okay. and we're dealing with civil war energy and all that. Now, at 0 degrees Aries, Saturn and Neptune have not been, it's like a 3 to 6,000 year transit. I've heard longer. They've both been in Aries together, but not at 0 degrees. And when you're dealing with 0 degrees, that is the beginning of the year. It's not
Mm,
all this stuff we're fixing to go into in the next day or two. So at 0 degrees Aries, if there was a time in history
right.
that mental, like spiritual psychosis would happen, girlfriend, we're coming up on that time when they both get in there because Saturn is restriction. It also has to do with government, higher learning, higher mind. You mentioned to me the other day has to do with how somewhat tough lessons. It's the planet of karma. That's why Saturn takes
Hmm.
30 years to go around. So at 30, a lot of people, get
Yeah.
arrested, have kids, they have big things happen. And so they're burning off karma at 30 and then again at 58, 60, somewhere in there. Saturn, so if we think of Jupiter as expansion, it's 10, Tin. Saturn is restriction, that's lead. It's the most dense, the Earth is the most dense planet, but Saturn, the Lord of the Rings,
Mm,
theoretically, Saturn could float in water. It's all mental. Like if you had a body of water that you could throw Saturn into, it would float. It's that porous, that it can just float. All right. You wouldn't think so, but it's all mental because there's rings around it and it
okay.
has this thinking something big about it. Oh, it has rings, but it's only the state of mind. Right.
Well, well, that's karma.
Mm-hmm.
Karma, by the way, is all developed through our thought
Mm-hmm.
patterns, which people don't understand. They think it's an action, but before the action is thought. So the idea of karma, we're constantly creating karma with our subconscious thoughts of energy patterns. So it would actually make sense of what you're saying. Now, I did pull up, and I'm sure people in the comments will fact check us, but I pulled up like some historical events to see what we could expect. So the Saturn Neptune conjunction, the last clear time that it was together in Aries before now is documented as 1703 to 1704, which was the War of Spanish Succession. That was the redrawing of royal legitimacy. So this was a major theme. Neptune entering Aries alone was in 1861. This is when the American Civil War began. So that's without Saturn. I know these planets all play off of each other, but we're looking at what is astrology documentation, right? So even without Saturn, the well documented event of Neptune
Mm-hmm.
entering Aries was a national identity crisis for Americans. And then Saturn entering Aries alone multiple times, right? We have every 29 years, we have a clear records. It looks like 1937, okay, which is where the pre World War II militarization was happening. We look at the 1967, the Vietnam War escalation, and 1996, the rise of individualism, early internet, and things like that. So it is going to be unique that both of these planets are moving together in Aries. You mentioned, and again, I don't like to fearmonger here, but you mentioned like Civil War energy, and I think that's where the Neptune and Aries came into place. We as a country have absolutely been moving to more division, right? There's controlled oppositions in the media and politics, and me and you, we both don't, you know, placate to any of that. But would you say that this transit is definitely going to push us into like a make or break
Right.
sort of energy for the next few years? Because I know it doesn't happen the day that it's happened. The day that Saturn Neptune enter Aries, it's not like some world event is going to happen, but it's certainly that energy is going to carry us into what I feel,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd like to hear your thoughts on that, into some new stuff for America. I think we're
Well,
really, really
I'll
heading
answer your
into
question with
massive
history.
change. So tell me a little bit about that.
36 to 37 years, Saturn and Neptune hook up. All right. Saturn takes 30 to go around, and in that 30, Neptune has gone far enough to where Saturn has to travel 6 years to get up to it. Saturn does 29 and a half, 30-year transits, Neptune 165 to 168. So it's not like where they, line up at the same place every time. So let's go back 36, 37 years. Saturn, Neptune conjunction, not in Aries, but I think it was in Aquarius. We had what's called the Tiananmen Square accident, or or they call it the massacre. Um, we're dealing with Saturn Neptune conjunction Aquarius 240, I think 243 died, and then over 7K injured. And from what I understand, the CCP brought out the tanks and everything because there was the death of a pro-reform leader, Yao Bang, I think is how you, or Bang, that's how you pronounce the name. But yeah, he came up and was trying to change things.
Yeah, I don't actually
All
know
right.
his
Does
name,
this
but
sound familiar? Like in America, there are people that are starting not to give a shit,
yeah.
my friend. There are people, yeah. And the ones that are in on it
Yeah,
fully
a
are
lot of us, I
standing up and
think. A
saying
lot
something.
of us.
And those people will be the ones that run the front of it. And yeah, those people get knocked off. There's if I don't like duality, but it's a good evil thing with
Yeah.
Saturn and Neptune. Neptune is like Piscean energy. It wants everything to be okay. Just forgive. Saturn doesn't care about that. Saturn will come and take your damn teeth and then yank the bones out of your skin and run off with it.
Well, it's too, it's interesting. It's too it's the exact opposite energies. And what are we seeing right now in America is
Hmm.
really, really strong opposing energies. I mean, there's really no, forget the middle class, which has been dissolving for years now. There is no middle ground. You used to be able to in the 80s, and not that I was even alive, but from what I understand politically, Democrat, Republican could have these sort of conversations. You'd be at dinner and you'd be like, "Hey, you believe this? I believe this." Now, the biggest joke of our generation is, what are we going to say at Thanksgiving? That someone's going to fly off the
Hmm.
handle. Families are not going to talk to each other. This one's walking out. This one's doing this. This one's flipping a chair over. You can't have these conversations in public. People are afraid to submit their political identity unless they're not. And the ones that are not afraid to talk about their political identity are causing such anger and friction and division, where it's not, "Hey,
Hmm.
I believe this, if you believe in something else, cool." It's, "Hey, I believe this, and if you don't believe in it, you're going to die, and I think you should." And that's what, and I'm not saying that is not aimed at a Republican or a Democrat. That's aimed at people
Hmm.
who are politically charged in their beliefs, that it's like, "I'm right, no, I'm right." And so you're having these oppositions, not only in real life, but in the planetary, I think,
Crossroads.
example. We're now meeting. We're meeting at a place where it's like the crossroads, where it's like, "Hey, sorry, what's it going to be? What's it going to be? What's the truth here? And how's it going to play out?" Would you say, I'm going to ask you a question, and I don't know if you want to answer on the record, because we're on the record here. Would you say
Possible
that you
1000%.
believe a civil war is possible in America?
1000% possible.
Do you think that this
I
energy
think
will
that
have
war is not a
any
question.
influence
It's
in it?
more what kind? Is it going to be pew pew bang bang boom, or is it going to be information war? Like if we go back 168 years, 165 years, we're in the mid 1860s, 1850s, and there's noise on the street says that Edgar Allan Poe put out some documentation or some pamphlet on election fraud, and then years later the Civil War started. So as long as there's a dualist perspective, 1000% something's potentially in the mix. Saturn is only 2.5 years ballpark in Aries. So here's the question: is it going to put rings around
Yeah.
the wars and kind of come to a place of where we're not fighting? Or are the rings going to pop off? And because we got Neptune in play, it's like delusion. Literally, sis, a war could start over somebody saying some bullshit and then it going viral and then boom, here we are. Over it's about false information, Neptune 29 degrees Pisces. False information, secrets.
Well, yeah, Neptune's a planet of illusion. I don't think Americans have experienced this, but it is very well known in other countries, okay? that the government uses technology blackouts to control the population. Now we do it in media, right? The world is a stage, and I think for longer than we care to admit, whether you're a pro Trump fan or not, the
Hmm.
fact that he was like the fake
Yeah.
news, fake media, that was like his thing. That's been for a while. We didn't even know. Like we didn't even think it. And this is, I remember, I'm going to go off here for a little bit, but I remember being in college, okay, 2009, I was in college, and I took a marketing class, and they were teaching us that the government made breakfast the most important meal of the day to like help
Hmm.
grain farmers because they needed to sell more cheese and milk, and they it was like a breakfast in America, and you could look this up, is a government construct, that
Hmm.
breakfast was the important meal of the day. I don't know if you remember that. And the triangle of the pyramid of foods, that was wrong. It was made by the government. It's like I sound like a tinfoil hat person, where I'm like the government conspiracy. So with all this technology and illusion, we've been fighting a technological war
Yeah.
for years, and it's only gotten worse now that we have AI. Forget about it. AI and everybody, everybody wants to say Erica Kirk, Candace Owen. I'm
Hmm.
like, what are you all arguing about? They're controlled oppositions where you don't even know the truth. What do you think these people? And this is what I hope comes out of this transit energy, is that people realize that the people who are on the stage, whether you're right or left, they live in $5 million houses in gated communities, making millions off your views. They don't give a shit. If a civil war breaks out, these people will be on a plane so
Hmm.
far out of America. Half of Hollywood's already moved
Hmm.
out of America. They're gonna let us eat each other alive. And then they'll come back when the dust is settled, and they're gonna be
Yeah,
like,
I
"Oh
agree with
yeah,
you. Like,
you
look at
fell right
Alex
into our
Jones. I
lap.
was looking at
Sorry."
2011 stuff he was putting out about Skull and Bones, bringing up names of the presidents and bringing up specific people. If this dude was on the real, REAL, do you think he wouldn't be, well, I'm 6 feet from the ground? They like, controlled opposition. The, think about it.
Yeah.
Where do good and evil come from? From Hashem, from creator energy, right? From a unified field, from God. Both good and evil, the Bible says in Isaiah, come from Hashem. Now watch this. Hashem is the king of the universe. If you want to be king of the world, you have to create the red and the blue, the good and the evil. My son and I sometimes will play games on PS5. Yeah, I'm 48, but I hang out with him in that way. However, when we play, we're both part of a simulation. I have a controller that's red. He has one that has a blue light. Are we fighting? We're not fighting. We love each other.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what people don't understand.
Right.
Oh, Erica Kirk. This is I'm using this example because this is what's in the media right now. Oh, we met 101. They were at each other's weddings. Candace Owens' husband, George Farma, he's worth like $240 million. If you think that these people who are on the
Hmm.
stage, oh, this, that, if you don't think they're not grabbing lunch together and laughing about it, hey, you see that? Oh, let's get a martini. The same thing with I'm gonna say divorce lawyers. I remember I used to be have friends that a lot of lawyers, right? The divorce
Hmm.
lawyers are beefing you and your ex-wife up, not you personally, but like you and your ex-wife up, and then they're going out to lunch and they're eating a $40 salad laughing about how they just
Hmm.
billed you $5,000 based on your emotions, and they're racking it up. That we the people are not, we're not privy to this type of life, and so when we have this energy, they're playing on our emotions. And
You're
I
good.
think I know we're kind of going off on our little conspiracy thing here, but I really think that with astrology and these astrological transits, if there's anything to be learned, it's like, all right, we have these influences, these energetic influences on us. What does it mean for me and you? How are we going to use this
Hmm.
information? Very nice. Saturn and Neptune are entering Aries. What I got to pay taxes tomorrow.
Just don't.
What are we going to
Just
do with it?
save your money and hope the
What are we
system
going to do with
falls.
this information? I think is really the question.
But if it falls, the money that you would give them won't be worth shit anyway. Oh man.
It's exactly.
And
I mean, what do you think of this whole silver thing? This
yeah, I
the
was
rise and
holding
fall
like
of silver. The
15,
price of
16
silver is
pounds of silver
insane
back
right
in
now.
2012, and I used it to get out of debt, but sometimes I wonder, what I could else done with that. I know one guy, he was actually a rabbi.
I don't know.
Um, I think his name is Rabbi Yaron Reuven. I'm pretty sure that he was the one. He was on MSNBC and CNN and all that. He used to be like a big, you
Okay.
know, analyst and stuff. And he said after COVID hit, he said that when you have crypto and then precious metals and the paper money, the fiat currency crashing, which it was for a while at the onset of COVID, he said you're dealing with absolute chaos. Like that's what's on the menu because and this is kind of like Steely Dan sang a song called The Razor Boy back in the day. And they had a lot of cryptic lyrics and they talked about how's it going to be on that cold winter day when the Razor Boy comes and takes all of your fancy things away. And when I think about that, I think of these outer planets. I think about Uranus, which will wreck your world if you're not in good standing.
Well, that's I think that's the next thing we want to
This is a
talk
big one.
about. Well, okay, so Uranus, interestingly enough, also is going in 2026 into
Hmm.
Gemini. So Uranus is a chaos planet, right? It kind of like brings chaos and disorder to anything it's touching, which I find interesting because Gemini, right? We have the anybody who knows a Gemini, it's like they're two different people.
Hmm.
What does that look like for us? Because that's going to be there for like 7 years and change. So I would imagine being in that sign, what does that mean? Like, what does that mean for Geminis? What does it mean for the collective?
Hmm.
Because Geminis are, you could literally be two different people. I'm married to a Gemini, and my sister's a Gemini,
You're
and my dad's a Gemini, and all these
you're
people
married to
around me are
two
Geminis, and
Geminis.
I'm
It's
like,
just in one body.
why? So what's that going to do?
All right. My grandfather was a Gemini and had twins. I never met him. He died when my mom was like
Exactly.
5 and her sisters were 2. Yeah. But anyway, all of the women, sun, moon, rising, all water. And so I was raised by a very stern man and a bunch of women. So I'm a woman in a man's body. A woman in a man's. So Uranus, we all are actually.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Everybody's a
technically,
little gay. They just don't
we're
know it
all,
yet. No, I'm kidding.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
I believe that
And if someone says
fully
no,
in
I'll
the
be like,
sense
what?
of
You're not
we're
happy?
all a little
No.
gay and on
Play off the
spectrum.
70s. All right, so Uranus and Gemini. I'm gonna hit a lot of stuff. I'll try to do it quick. We do have a few minutes. Uh, yeah, we're looking at April 25th, ballpark of next year. These
Yeah,
are
makes sense.
about, I put down a list of things that I kind of saw coming and like where I'm at. And y'all can take it in your pipe and smoke it or not. So communication shifts
Okay.
are going to be big. So web, the internet, web 1.0, we could get online and look and read. Web 2.0, MySpace, Facebook, all of this, Instagram, everything. We're able to read and write and copy, right? We can send things out, we can take things in, we can kick and share it to the collective. Web 3.0, Uranus and Gemini is going to bring us Web 3.0. It's already here. Really, it's just a matter of getting it finalized and streamlined. Web 3.0 is not going to be about reading and taking in or putting out and writing. It is going to be about transactions to where that quick money just gets exchanged between people. What's your own email? What's your number? And the switch of money. Uranus and Gemini, we're bringing tech into the twins. Okay. This is going to have with Jews and non-Jews, it's going to have a lot to do with that. This is these I'll tell you, these are my thoughts. I've been studying the
Wait,
Bible
why?
way longer than
Why?
astrology. Astrology, I know little. The Bible, most of my life.
Okay.
So whenever you think of this term, Jacob's trouble, okay? Jacob's trouble. When you think of Yaakov, Jacob and Esau, you think of the twins, right? The heel grabber and then the birthright and that whole thing. So all of this chaos between two people, it's actually the inner and outer. Our exterior, our Esau, red and hairy, right? And then our inner, Jacob was inside the tent doing shadow work while Esau is off. draining blood out of animals, right? So 42 months you see in the Old Testament and the New Testament, 7 year tribulation, 42 months is 3.5 years. Okay. Gemini is the twins. It's also the hemispheres of the brain or the hemispheres of the world, Eastern, Western hemisphere. Last time Uranus was there, that was World War II, Uranus and Gemini. The time before that was the Civil War. The time before that was around July 4th, 1776.
So there's a lot because we just touched upon this with our other transits.
Oh, yeah.
There seems to be a lot of energy of revolution, not just with one of these transits. I mean, you we hit that in Neptune and Saturn and
Mm,
Aries. Now you're telling me that there's even more evidence for Uranus and Gemini revolution energy, which I do not like to be a doomsday person, but just
yeah.
the fact that I think it's
Unless
unsustainable
we
for
can
us to
make it
keep
another 84 years
going.
till I don't think we're
You
gonna
know,
slide by this one. I just don't, and I'm excited because if we don't get shit going now, what is it gonna be? Our kids dying? Our kids not having food? Yeah, save the children. Yeah,
we'll
save the children.
we'll
We
die.
gotta.
Save the children. It's fine. I mean, it's well,
Mhm,
I think that there's people don't. Okay, so I'm a millennial, right? I just turned 36. I guess I'm an elder than millennial. I don't even know, but I think a lot of people, the trend that I'm seeing is people are not having kids, right? Especially with the
mhm,
women's movement and kind of realizing the juice isn't worth the squeeze, so to speak. But I think there's a lot of younger people who don't understand that. They're not living beyond themselves because they've gotten to a point, and I experienced a little bit of this, where we were handed a pile of shit. Like the American dream of you're gonna have a nice lawn and a white picket fence and your kids, and you can't live that dream anymore. You used to be able to have one person, the man would go to work, his salary would pay for your entire house, mom stayed home, you'd go on a Disney vacation, you'd have a
mhm,
new fridge. Now we got mom and dad working three jobs, no one can afford anything, no one's agreeing on anything anymore. People are like, marriage, I don't need marriage, I don't need kids, I have 10 jobs and I'm living with five people in an apartment.
mm-mm.
So I don't think people understand that it's not sustainable how we're living. That's number one, which people know it, but I don't think they've expressed it. Like I think people are just making do. They're like, yeah, I'll take on another roommate. Okay, I'll do a side hustle and I'll deliver Uber Eats. All right, I'll sell my foot pictures online. Like I'm gonna pull money from everywhere I can,
Mhm.
and they're not thinking about, well, what are we leaving our children? We're not who do you know how many Americans right now do not have a savings account? So what, where are we going with this? Like we cannot continue the
Yeah, what
way
goes up must come
we're
down.
going. It's just not
Think about a frog,
practical.
in the boiling water. It's like another degree. Oh, I'll take a second job. Oh, get internet. Well, that 70 a month may break people the way that their financial situation is right now. But think about the frog being pregnant. Now the story hits different. Sadly enough, our parents
Yeah.
grew up during the time that it was like you should be seen and not heard, this and that. Parents are right, kids are not. And you and I and the kids, born and raised in the I say raised, you raise an animal. You raise animals. But the 70s and 80s,
Yeah.
a lot of people, whether we chose to come here or God thought we deserved some tough lessons, whatever, we were sent down here. We came down here and we did it really at a prime time for one of the biggest shifts in recorded and even non-recorded history. I mean, when you hear Trump say the golden age and the golden dome, and then you hear the president of China, Xi Jinping, says is the golden age of America. Like they know. What is it? JP Morgan, billionaires use astrology, millionaires do not. And so they know there are changes. And Trump knows that he's not going to see it.
It's true.
He knows damn well he's not going to see the fulfillment of this. And when you get to a man's age, that's his age, that has his birth chart,
Mm-mm.
the fact that he's still breathing air surprises me.
Is amazing because it's not. Yeah, it definitely. I mean, there was a couple of attempts, and it does surprise me. I wonder, and when
Hmm.
again, and I like to talk about practical spirituality and the woo woo, right? So going back to this discussion, it's like, all right, well, we're talking about possibilities, we're talking about transits, we're talking about what to expect. So, if we're focusing on Uranus and Gemini, right? Communication. Okay, we've already seen
Right.
a decentralization of media. People know they can't believe what's in the media. If anything that's been sensationalized with the Charlie Kirk assassination and Candace digging, and why I think she's gained so much traction, is because prior to this, and I'm not talking about her or the situation in specific, people didn't trust the media. We have lost trust in the media. So with
Hmm.
Uranus coming to kind of destabilize all of this, right? And we talk about truth and illusion, tech. I mean, AI. Here's a question. So we know that there's a lot of revolutionary energy coming up. We know that there's going to be a lot of misleading concepts, destabilization of media, of AI. There's going to be a lot of technology changes, is what we can expect with these transits. Um, what does the average person do with this information? What do me and you who wake up, have to pay our bills, have kids? I mean, we're a little bit different because we are, I think, voicing our spirituality in the middle path, and we're looking to build each other up in a way that says, hey, stop, like, let's stop the fighting. But what does the average person do? What would you tell the average person watching this? We're talking about transits, and we're talking about, oh yeah, the economy might fall apart, there might be a civil war. Are people expected to go, like, live in a
My
bunker
advice for
somewhere?
today
Like,
and now
what's the
is
advice that you
only
have
do
for
the
somebody
essential.
watching this?
I know that sounds so lazy, but I don't add any more propaganda, any more
Okay.
watching stuff. Don't spend time doing things that don't better you, your children, your husband, your family's life. The reason why is because as long as we're caught up in the propaganda, we've got another hot minute. What was that date for? I had it earlier. Um, hold on one second. I don't know. I don't know where it is. I don't know where it is. Um,
Let me know if you want me to pull
but
something up.
Neptune at the end of Pisces, finishing up there the next several couple months, several weeks, we're dealing with really, if you're watching too much media, you'll get took. It won't be in a way that it's like, oh, I know the difference between AI. Like, no, you won't. Whatever comes out, not you, no offense. Whatever comes out is going to be so freaking mind blowing. If it does, it could be that this was all the Charlie Cook could have been the Neptune and Pisces thing to start a revolution. Whatever happens, though, we have to have our mind right. The Bible says, as a man thinketh, so is he. And from out of the issues of the heart, the mouth speaketh. So I would say start internally. Do you know that the Tibetan monks and the Buddhist dudes and the guys that hang out in the monasteries and all that, they wake up, they don't do shit, they don't get caught up in all that bullshit. They clean the inside of their building first. The
Yep.
inside of the building, and Jesus even came and told them the outside is
Mm-hmm.
clean,
Yep.
pristine. Inside is shit. It's trash.
Yeah. Well, that's as as above, so below, as within, so without, the Hermetic principles, right? The Kabbalion people. I think it's easier. I'll put it to you this way, and you know this as well as I do. It's easier to
Hmm.
get caught up in the sensationalized drama of what's happening outside. The people who follow the media, and I talk about this all the time. If you over identify with religion or politics, like, what is it? What do they say in the South? Bless your heart, because it's easier to yell. What's harder, to yell your opinion from the mountainside that you're right, I'm right, I'm right, or to sit in silence and say, wait a minute, maybe I don't know the truth.
Hmm.
Maybe there is more than what I'm understanding or being spoon fed. And when I preach, right, meditation all the time, I'm like, meditate, meditate, give me
Yes.
5 minutes a day. You know how many
Yes.
people come to me and they're like, I can't meditate.
They can't
I
do it.
cannot sit in silence. And I'm like, that's a problem. That's a problem
Hmm.
because what do you mean? You're all you have. If you don't know what's going on up here and sitting in the silence, okay, and it's beautiful if it's not silent because that means there's work to be done. If you're able to sit and a thought comes up, listen to that thought. If it's anxiety, I got to take the kids, I got to do laundry. Oh, what about this? What if this? What if that? Those are beautiful lessons for us to grow upon. But with Uranus in Gemini,
Oh
right? This
yeah.
is movement. This is movement faster than I think we like to adapt to, faster than we can process. And it's like spinning, let's talk about like spinning circles around the truth. Oh, this report came out, this report came out, and now this and now this. And I don't know if you've noticed this trend, by the way. So a few years ago, they came out with a documentary, I think, on fast food. I don't know if it was like the McDonald's thing, something about like a guy did a documentary on McDonald's. There's been a lot of
Hmm.
people realizing that the food we're eating is not
Oh
real.
yeah.
I don't know if you've seen this on TikTok, where people left out cartons of ice cream that didn't melt after 4 days. They left out chicken that's been pumped with water.
Hmm.
We've known this for a while, but this is what I'm talking about: movement, right? Catching up with the movement. We as people, if you are not spiritually grounded, if you don't have your own level of discernment, if you don't know thyself, information is coming out so quickly that for somebody who is maybe a little bit depressed, maybe borderline, bipolar, and
Hmm.
there's nothing wrong with these things, you're not going to know what to believe. You're not going to know who to believe because as soon as you go, okay, great, I believe this, there was a news report that I should believe this. As soon as you get comfortable with the idea of that's what you want to believe, something else is going to come out and challenge your entire worldview. And AI things going to come out. This is
Hmm.
going to come out, and this is what I think is going to add with all of these transits
Hmm.
collectively. We've already seen people losing their minds. The fact that you go down the street and people are screaming at you, you're getting screamed at for your opinions, your beliefs,
Hmm.
yelling. I think it's only going to escalate the situation for
Yeah.
people not
You're
knowing
Uranus, the
what to
metal that
believe and how to
corresponds with
ground
Uranus
themselves.
is uranium. Okay? That's all I'm gonna say. Uranium. About 84 years ago, why do you think you already know,
Yep.
but to the audience, why in the hell do you think we've been seeing these orbs flying around? These things are here. I've seen them. I saw them when I started looking at astrology about 13 years ago or whatever. Around that time, I saw some, and I kept it silent. There's a bunch of these orange things, and I don't get caught up in all of that. However, when you look in the New Testament and you think the kingdom of heaven, the Greek word for heaven in the New Testament is Oranos, Uranos. In English, it's Uranus. The kingdom of uranium is here. Last time it was here, we detonated nukes. We had World War II. We were visited. Does that sound familiar? Same exact thing. Now, here's the important thing. You know, when people are dealing with looking at money and fraud, they study real money, like real fiat currency. So when they see a fake, they can tell what's fake. If people will go within,
Hmm.
they'll know what's real. And then when this crazy shit happens, they'll know what's fake. It's that easy.
But that's but it is that easy, and it's unfortunate that I think that, you know what, listen, in mine and your audience, I'll say, on social media, I believe the majority of them have enough discretion, enough self-awareness to realize like there's some scary stuff coming up. But it's not about trying to change the future, it's about riding the wave. So how can we prepare ourselves to be in that middle ground? And this is where, personally, trying to build community with like-minded people, with middle path people, and because we're not the loudest, that's the reality. We're not. They say that, and an empty pushka makes a lot of noise. You know, a pushka is where you donate money. So you put a couple coins in a tin jar and you shake it around, it makes a lot of noise. But if it's filled up, those coins don't have movement. It doesn't make a lot of noise. So the louder I find people to be, the more ignorant I find them to be. Where I'm just like, oh, I'm like, oh, you know, you could say things in an authoritative manner without having to scream it from the rooftops. And so I hope that the audience that we have and other people who are spiritual people that are grounded, that aren't off into outer space, because some of our spiritual people, I love them to death, but they are living on another
Right.
planet. I hope that that middle path for us kind of reaches where it's supposed to.
Yeah, I can make that.
I do want to ask you also, because we still have to talk about Pluto and Aquarius, which is a 17. No, I'll make it quick. It's okay. You know, Pluto and Aquarius is a
All right.
17 to 18-year transit. It's opposing
Well,
Leo.
I
So what does
represent that
that mean?
Plano,
What's the
that
planet of
planet,
Pluto? Tell me what
um,
Pluto is.
being a Scorpio, and then Uranus conjunct my sun. Uranus rules Aquarius. So actually, when I was looking into this early on and found out Pluto's going to Aquarius, I was like, oh shit, because like, yeah, yeah,
But that's
doesn't
transformation.
care.
Pluto is
It does.
deep, deep
Scorpio's intense
transformation, and
emotion.
Aquarius
Aquarius
is the
don't care. It's
collective.
policy driven. You're not going to cry in public, whereas I may would, because I'm emotionally driven with my sun or with my moon and sun. And we know your placements, they're more for you having to put a shell in public. And for me, I'll like be broken with you and cry more than you will, you know. So it's about unexpected change. Here's the only way that I can put it out. Okay, if you go back 248 years to 250 years, you're around July 4th, 1776. That is Pluto, 27 degrees Capricorn. It went 3 degrees, and then it was the start of a nation. Go back one more. Yes,
Well, death. It's death.
right.
But Pluto's
It's about
transformation through trauma
offloading the
and
shell that
transformation
you
and
don't
death and
need. Think about
rebirth.
a
It's the
snake in the
planet.
snake skin,
Okay.
right? It's not a new snake, but it looks different because the crusty skin's off there. So if you go back another 248 years, you are in the mid 1500s where Martin Luther nailed the 95 Thesis on the door of the Church of England.
A lot of
Absolute political, absolute religious, and absolute social and environmental transformation. This is why, you know, religions, Hollywood, governments, they're all on the tatter right now. They're hanging by.
But it's all these energies. If we're looking back, I know we kind of went off on like a little bit of ramblings, but every one of these transits is pointing to some form of
Hmm.
revolution, technology and communication changes, and
Hmm.
really the death and rebirth of a collective, that things have to be rewritten. I mean, again, Aquarius is the collective, Pluto the planet of death and change and trauma. It's like exposure happening very, very quickly, like the way that we haven't even touched upon.
Oh
I mean, we
yeah.
could touch upon, you know, what happened with COVID, because the world has been tremendously different since COVID. Tremendously different. That was huge. And maybe another time we'll talk about what was happening astrologically there. But for all of these things that are happening collectively, it's like what's it's going to happen in what I would predict is going to be a massive shift in the next couple of years. It is going to happen so quick, so fast. And if you do not
Hmm.
have a sense of self, if you're not buckled in to spiritual discernment and reality, you are going to get spun so far around that before you know it, you're not even going to know it. You're not even going to know it. If you're not grounded in your own sense of self in reality, you are going to
Hmm.
be, I don't even know. I think it's going to happen I think we're looking, and the internet's forever. I think within 2 years we're looking at a completely different society, especially for Americans. The way that we function, the way that we live, what the American family looks like. I think in 2 years' time, the way we deal with money, communication, energy, media, Hollywood, politics, it's going to
Yeah, I
look a
agree. And
lot
Jupiter
different.
and Leo
A
is going
lot
to
different.
actually affect a few people in the public eye. Donald Trump, Leo rising 29 degrees. The star Regulus, I think it's probably in the top 25 of our brightest stars. I think it's number 21. I was looking at a few the other day, but that star, that fixed star, hangs out at 29 degrees Leo. So when Jupiter enters Leo, it's going to activate his rising, which is your physical body. Your rising sign is your physical body. It's going to affect Ramaswamy, I think was the Leo sun, and then we also have Mamdani has some decent amount of Leo energy, and then also JD Vance is a Leo sun
Mhm.
and Leo rising 27 degrees. So you get Jupiter running through there. This is about us being ourselves and being out there and putting what we love to do out there as long as it's not hurting someone else. All the crazies, let them be crazy. You know, that shit's going to go and it's going to be right in our face. So I
Well,
say eyes closed on media and middle path, like you said.
well, I mean, the problem is that,
Hmm.
I think we've placed so much faith in government, and their Mamdani was a big change, for New York. I think all these Leo risings, all these transits, everything like that. It'll be interesting to see for sure. I don't know. You think Donald Trump's going
Man,
to
I
make
haven't
it
even
through the
looked
end
at
of the
his
year,
stuff.
2026? I know we spoke about this a little
Yeah.
bit, that there's some periods of chaos coming up for him with his transits. And I mean,
Hmm.
I know they did, what was it, he had two assassination attempts, right? I am generally surprised
I've had
there
a few
haven't been
people ask me
more,
that.
but you think
I
he's going to
mean,
make it through
there's so
2026?
much going on. It's like getting a pin and putting in a truck full of spaghetti and telling me to find the little pin. Um, I've heard both sides. I've got a buddy of mine. He's been doing this like 50 years, and he believes that in spring a civil war is going to start. March to July, somewhere in there. Uh, I could see it happening, but we got to think.
I don't know. Okay, so you mentioned before with Civil War, like I
Oh yeah.
think in some capacity a civil war has already started
Hmm.
behind the scenes. We're looking at a technological civil war, where people are, whether we realize it or not, that's what this has been. This has been a media civil war for us. But I used to joke when I was, and it wasn't a joke, but I was like, I would say when I was like 18, 19, I'm like, this country can't have a civil war because nobody knows what it's like to struggle. If you look at, I remember Egypt, I think it was like 2011
Hmm.
or 12, they went through two civil wars within like a year or two period, where children, 19, and I say children, 19, 20-year olds were on the ground fighting their government. Do
It
you
very well
think that's going to
could
happen
if
in
it's only
America?
if the people want it. If the
I don't think
people
so.
decide.
I I don't think it. I don't think that the people are. I don't think the people that, I mean, maybe because we've seen a lot of violence on American college campuses, but I don't see people that are
Mm-mm.
young having the wherewithal to get up and rise in arms again. Like unity, that's the problem. For civil war, you need some sort of unity. And while we're unified against each other, does that correlate to the things needed for a civil war that's going to be a physical, like we're going to get our bayonets and go to the
Mm.
ground in a civil war? No. I think it's going to be more like media, technology. Who's owning what? Who's controlling the media? Who's controlling what we're seeing, what we're saying? And what I started off this episode with saying is that the government,
Mm.
shutting down internet, it happens all over the place. Americans are not
I'll
prepared for
be
that. What
I'll be in
happens
absolute
tomorrow
peace. I
if
will
they
be
shut
in
our internet off?
1000%
How many
solitude and
people
full
are
awareness with
self-sufficient?
no distractions. So this is how things would play out. I mentioned earlier Web 3.0 has to do with transactions. You've got to get people on the money. Okay. I'd like to interject one more thing. Feel free to
Well,
what I
wait,
was
what do you mean Web 3.0? What does that mean to you? You said for
no,
how we pass
Web 1.0 was
information back
read
and forth
only,
with
like
emails
a
and stuff like
CD,
that?
right? Web 2.0 was read and write and sharing, uploading what you ate for dinner with your friends or whatever. Web 3.0 is transactions. We're talking money. You've got to follow the money. This is why these bastards put "In God We
Yeah.
Trust" on paper. So I'll go following them. Oh, because they believe in God. Can you hear me?
Oh, you broke up.
Oh, okay. No, I was just saying that's why they put "In God We Trust" on
You
the
broke
money,
up for a
because if we
second.
see
Yeah,
God
go ahead.
somewhere, oh, we'll run to God. Well, it's on a piece of paper, so now money's the God. Can't serve God and mammon. So once they get rid of, this is down the road, I would suspect at the end of Trump's presidency, it's like right in the middle of the 7 year, okay? And they're going to try to get us. I can tell you now what's going to happen. If you want me to dump stuff that'll put you under the radar, I can do that, or I can stay away from it. It doesn't matter to me.
I mean, you could dump away. I know we kind of went all over the place, but the you said Web 3.0, but like again, people have money
No,
in
that's
crypto. They have money online. Nobody has
this is the
money
whole thing I'm
anymore.
saying.
It's all
They're going to
online. So they
start
wipe out the internet. What
confiscating
happens? Yeah.
and reeling in. Okay, let me explain something real quick because this will make total sense. Back in the 60s, 70s, during that time frame, Ringo Starr joined the Beatles when Uranus was 0 degrees Virgo. It had just entered Virgo and Ringo Starr came on. Okay. As it left the same constellation, about 7.5 years later, John Lennon rolls out, and now the whole group is just disseminated, and they're all doing their own thing and jumping around. Right now, whenever Uranus went into Taurus, you started seeing Bitcoin and crypto skyrocket. And what took a hit? The US dollar. So, what on God's green earth do you think is going to happen to the US dollar whenever Uranus leaves Taurus? We're here. So, this is about them. Trump has already said they're done printing pennies. If that's even a true story, I've heard it. But if they're starting to confiscate paper, then they're going to switch us all over and force us into the digital. And then at that point, it's only a knife switch. Turn it off, and then everybody goes crazy. Food and water, food and water. I don't live in
But
fear, but I've got
that's
enough food. My family can go months as long as I have a water source. And that's not fear. Trust me, I've been little by little grabbing it for over the years. But there's going to come a point to where the money and the food and that situation, that channel is disrupted. I think it's going to be what you're saying. So if that's what people think is coming, then you may want to go get these buckets, a few of them of food. It's not fear. It's just smart.
it's not, here's it's the problem is, and I think there is a lot of Americans that are living in this way, that have been for a while, that the crazy tinfoil people hat people like myself, have been around for the past 10, 15 years. No one wanted to listen to it. Then all of a sudden it came out and people were like, oh, wait a minute, these conspiracy theories are right. There's something to it. But practically, I
No,
live in New York, right? People in New York are not going to stockpile rice. Maybe if you live outside of New York, maybe if you live in, you have some land, people in New York are living six roommates, maybe more to an apartment. Again, young kids. And when I know people who live in the city, I moved away from the city, and I'm like, what kind of quality life do you guys have that you're living like this? If the internet goes down and people have to fend for themselves with food, with water, I think somebody said that like 90% of the
I don't know if it'd be
population
that
is going
many.
to just be gone. And I don't think that, I'm not saying that it's going to happen. I'm not saying I don't think it's going to be
No.
happen like that. I'm not going to sit here and be like, this episode we're going to prepare you for war. No, but I
Hmm.
do think there are massive shifts coming. There are massive change coming. And it's gonna challenge us. It's gonna challenge us collectively of how much can we rely on one another. How close are you with your neighbor, that if you need something, if you need a medical bill, you think that
Oh
person's
yeah.
gonna help you? We moved away from the village system, right? We used to rely on each other in village. This guy sewed, this guy made shoes, this person sold tomatoes. Now you live in urban cities, you don't know your neighbor, you don't know anybody, and we've relied so heavily on government, on media, on external things that don't actually hold value. So it'll be interesting to see the media shake up, people losing their minds, which I think they already
Big
have, and
money
that's going
and
to
health and
continue.
wellness, once the
And what's going to
government puts
rise out of this?
their structure out, oh, you can do this, be part of this program, you can come to us. And all they're going to do is reel in the people and take the money they're causing the issues, and then they're taking money off of it, just like the food and the insurance. They've been,
Well, that's been
mm-hmm.
that has literally been pharmaceuticals
Are you
forever.
good?
What do you think? What's your opinion? And I know we're like over an hour, but we'll continue talking about this. What's your opinion on the fact that Trump is now making his own like RX things and or for prescriptions, and he said he wants to do rebates with big pharma and insurance companies. I think this came after that CEO was
I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm not
taken
trying to be
under the
dry as
street.
hell, but
What's
I
your
haven't
thoughts
even
on
looked
that?
at much of it. I heard Trump RX and I glanced at it. Um, I think, sure, thank you.
He's trying to make. I'll give you a little heads up. He's trying to basically make prescription drugs more affordable to American patients, and he's pushing these companies to not sell medicines at a higher price than in other developed countries. So, like if you remember a couple years ago, maybe
Hmm.
you don't, but I'll tell you, diabetic medication went from being like the cost of it's $1 or something. A new pharmacy bought it and they started charging like $700 to $900 a vial of diabetic medication that people would literally pass from not taking. So he's trying to regulate, I guess, pharmaceutical companies to charging prices that are not so inflated for Americans. And I don't know how he's going to implement this. I know people are like,
Yeah.
Trump, I hate Trump. I'm not for or against Trump in this situation. I'm just saying, like, do you think this is going to
I mean,
be something that'll
it
objectively
sounds
help
like it
people or
could,
not?
but at the same time, what else is not regulated? Why just that? Like, there are a lot of other things that are not being. Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm saying like he's trying to act
Nothing,
like,
no,
well, he's doing
nothing's
this and that, and they're
regulated.
trying to
Yeah.
act like they're regulating it to make it, we got to pull these down, pull these prices down, and make this more affordable for other people. But the downside is like what's actually going on. That's a story that you heard, right? That's a story that I heard. Well, what's a story? Did it happen? And he'll even follow through and do his thing. But what else the hell's going on over here? For every look, I used to sell cars in the early 2000s, and I learned early on that if you finagle a few numbers up here, you can put them down over here, and then you can move these up here and make it look balanced. I mean, if he's saving lives, my thoughts are good on it. I mean, I don't know.
I don't think it's enough. I don't know enough. I know we're like glazing over this topic, but I think that
Oh yeah.
it's too little too late. Like our country is drying up economically, and I know the people of money have money. There's money everywhere, but like I'm talking about the middle class, which is dissipated, the younger people. Like we're squeezed. Everybody, even my friends, we all own businesses. They're all like, dude, nobody has money. Nobody has the people that have money, you're good. You have money, millions, tens of millions of dollars. You're set. You've diversified your
Hmm.
portfolio. You've moved your money offshore. You live somewhere else. I'm talking
Consumerism,
about the rest of
not
us.
you, but like it's all
Where are you
consumerism.
going? What are we doing?
Just because somebody does Christmas, now I got
Yeah.
to do it and spend, 7 grand on stuff. Like it's insane. Once again, Saturn and Neptune and Aries, all of these outer planets are going to fire and air. They've been in earth and water. Think about it. This is all like, yeah, it's okay, sweetheart. Yeah, and cry. It's okay. to like fire and air has no time for any of that. So when these shifts happen between now and 6 months from now, oh my gosh, yeah.
Fast, and people
Oh yeah.
people are gonna be lost in the sauce. That's it. They're not gonna know what hit them. But listen, if okay, so look, we've been a little bit over an hour here. I appreciate you coming on. I know I had to like pull teeth to get you here. If you had to leave this episode with some solid advice for people watching this for 2026, what do you have to
Act
leave us
now
with?
to do the essential things that you can, or the universe will act for you later. And doing it on your own is a lot more easy. It's a lot easier.
What do
Connection
you
with
constitute as the
self and
essential
the
things?
divine, which I consider is the same thing. Connection with family and friends,
It is.
but every family has somebody that doesn't pull their weight. In every family, it's like cousins and everything. There's always a lazy person that's sitting in the corner that eats the food. They want all the things done. They don't want to clean. They want to yap and bitch about everybody. These are the people, this type of energy. These people are heavyweight. They're everybody else, okay, has to do extra while they don't do anything. Okay. You don't want to be around these people. You want to help them, nurture them. But if they're not making steps to come to us, as we are making steps to reach out a helping hand, a rope of help, if they're not willing to do the work themselves, then I would say to the people, drop the heavy weight, because you don't want to be running with a cop chasing you with a 500-pound person on top of you. It just doesn't work good. So it's about doing the essential things, to go within, have other people go within, tell them how these things have changed you, spread the word. It's about connection internally. All of that shit on the outside doesn't mean a damn thing, to be honest with you. It doesn't mean a freaking thing. But this, my peace of mind, chop my arms and legs off, sis. I'm going to keep that.
I agree. I agree. I think we all
Hmm.
need to do a little introspection of sense of self, who we are, what we're going to bring into 2026, cutting the dead weight, because a lot of relationships, the problem is that people who are good people are often like,
Yes.
am I good enough? And the people who are just assholes are out there like not giving a shit. They're just like, yeah, I'm the best, and we're like, and this
Hmm.
this right now is what's going to happen. There's going to be a shift. There's going to be a change, and so the people that are bringing what needs to be brought to the table, that are showing up to help, that you're able to have a conversation with, that are not screaming about Trump or Candace
Hmm.
Owens or Charlie Kirk, those are the people that you got to cling to for 2026. The middle path people that can see
Hmm.
beyond
People
the
are going to be begging
opposition,
for
because a
Obama
lot
back,
more of
and
it, I think, is
like
coming.
George Bush, man, those are oh, those are the good years. Like, oh man, yeah.
You can't, you're not, there's no going back. There's no going back. Whatever it's going to be going forward is going to be defined by the people who have had enough. And I hope, I hope that it's
Hmm.
not the loudest that wins. It's the ones that
Yeah, there are
are
prophecies
together,
in,
the ones that are close.
I think Rome put
So
out
we'll
about
see.
like 3 days of darkness and stuff like that. I don't know. Uh, we'll see. I've heard that there's a reset, but yeah,
I feel like it's been a lot more than 3 days of darkness. And I think the
yeah.
reset, by the way, also, I think the reset took place in COVID. I think that so much money was moved
Hmm.
behind the scenes in COVID by the people who made COVID happen, that we are now 5 years
Hmm.
later, 6 years later, now we're like, shit, what really happened back then? Because it is different, and now we're
Mm-mm.
scrambling for those last bits of. You can't make money today
Yeah,
like you
this
did 20 years ago,
this
30
all
years ago.
started
There's
with
no room for
9/11
it.
and the Patriot Act.
So
For those of the people that have been looking, it really did. Um, because you have to take some freedoms and trade something off. Even like a man and a prostitute, there's a exchange for energy for money, right? Time for money. And there's going to have to be a switch off. You know, they say they're making medication more healthy. Well, what are we switching off with that? Where else are you moving numbers? Because you say you have a budget, right? And so for each of those things, there's another thing going on, you know? So,
Nope. Nah. They're not losing money. And this is, again, I know medicinal, like I've been
oh,
studying
yeah,
plant medicine now. You better start looking at those holistic treatments. And that's
sure.
a whole
Thank
nother
you for
whole
having me
other
on
issue
here.
for another day. But I thank you. Thank you for your time. And
All
can't
righty.
wait. Hell yeah, I can't wait. I can't
Yeah,
wait
it's
to
hard.
maybe we'll do
I mean,
more.
we could
I know
take like,
we were all over the place, but it was good stuff. Always appreciate you. All right, I appreciate it. Well, yeah. Well, what we'll do is I'll put your stuff up for people that want to book sessions with you and your social media, and we'll chop this up and we'll push it out, and hopefully we'll engage some conversation with the audience. No problem. I'll talk to you later. Bye.